Welcome to the jungle. Guess what's here every day? But we got Tarzan kicking ass, so everything's okay.
Okay, before I get into this, you need to know some things. This is not a remake. This is not a live-action version of the Disney film. A lot of people going into this are probably doing so because they loved the Disney film as a child. That's fine, not a problem. But do not expect this to be a remake of your favorite Disney classic, because it is not. Tarzan has actually been around since the early 1900s, slinging his way through jungles and crazy shit. He was created for a series of novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs. And then later it transitioned into a bunch of films and television shows, and eventually into the Disney movie that we all know and love. So there is a lot more to Tarzan's story than we know from that one cartoon. And once you have fully accepted that fact, then you can go see this movie, because we get to see a little bit of the other stories of Tarzan in this movie. That being said, The Legend of Tarzan is awesome. I just got back from the screening, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even want to go. I am so tired of remakes and reboots of old stories that we've already seen. I am so tired of the sparkly live-action versions of cartoons and movies that we've already seen. I'm so tired of not seeing original ideas. But this honestly blew my mind. Total curveball. If you're still like, oh, I really wanted to see the original Disney film because I love that movie so much, it is still kind of like a sequel to that film, and stuff that is in that story is still referenced. So it's in there, but it takes place many years later when Jane and Tarzan, now going by the name of John, live in England as civilized people, and Tarzan is somewhat of a celebrity. He is royally invited to return to Africa as a guest, and he brings along Jane and Samuel L. Jackson's character George. I really want the sequel to be George of the Jungle, like where we get to see Samuel L. Jackson playing George as George of the Jungle, like swing around and kicking it Tarzan style, but that's just my weird fantasy. But basically the three of them stumble into the hands of these evil, rich, privileged white men, led by Christoph Waltz, who is just despicable in this movie, in a good way. And they get into some hefty trouble in the jungle. And to be totally honest with you, I loved every second of it. I don't really have any complaints at all. I was so pleasantly surprised with this film. The pacing was phenomenal. So many films like this are always just shot to shit when the writers decide that they need an origin story. Every remake or reboot just feels this need to have an origin story. But we know Tarzan's story, everybody knows it, and most people who don't know it probably aren't gonna go see this movie anyways. But if you didn't know the story and you do see the movie, you're still gonna understand, because the origin story is there in pieces, but it's not like shoved down your throat for 30 minutes. It doesn't take up half the movie. It is reasonably placed, reasonably interlaced throughout the story, so it's not all told to you at once, and you just get these short little flashbacks here and there that relate to what's going on in the present day. And even though most of it is stuff that we already know, it's delivered so beautifully, and it really just enriched the film, if anything. I also felt that the character development was beautifully done. Even though we already know Tarzan and Jane, their presence just felt so real, and the connection between them is so strong that you can sense it even when they're not even talking to each other. Even when they're not in the same room together, or jungle. You could just sense it, and you could see it in their faces, and the acting was just so phenomenal. I loved it. I loved it. And that's something that's really cool about Tarzan stories in general. Since a lot of the communication is between Tarzan and the animals, or just between Tarzan and other characters, a lot of it relies on things other than talking, and I think the movie conveyed that so well. I could totally feel emotions between characters and animals with just the expressions on their faces and the music, and it was just, yeah. And the music was also awesome, by the way. What I loved the most about this movie is the attention to detail. The costumes were amazing, super accurate for the time period. The settings were absolutely stunning. Like, I want to go to Africa. I want to be in a jungle. I don't even care if I might die. It looks really pretty. Some default Windows screensaver shit. I also really appreciated that Tarzan's hands just looked ginormous, like the entire time. And he always had this weird, like, gorilla grip where he would just, like, his hands were like claws all the time, and like even when it wasn't even the main focus of the scene, they were just there, and he was just in gorilla mode all the time. Not to mention, every single character had very specific traits, and you could very easily decipher what kind of person they are. Christoph Waltz's character is one of the best examples of this. He was such a despicable, just, I wanted to fucking kill him aristocrat. So insanely obsessed with his own viewpoints and his own selfish desires, and I want to strangle him. And you could see all those traits just in the way that he did everything. The way he ate, the way he looked at things, the way he walked. It was so precise, and I loved it. There was also some really great comedy that was snuck into there that I really liked. Since a lot of the story follows Tarzan and Samuel L. Jackson, they get a ton of chances to interact with each other. And their chemistry was so great. Like, there were some moments where I was just laughing my ass off watching their bromance blossom, and it was just like, bros, I love you, you're great, I want them to be in a romantic comedy together, and I would watch the shit out of it. I thought Margot Robbie as Jane was also a really great call because she played that part so damn well. She's tough, she's cunning, she's brave, she's a badass. And she cares so much about Tarzan that even when he's in like a little bit of trouble, you can just see it on her face that she's a mess. You're just like, oh honey, I just wanna hug you, it's gonna be okay, he's gonna be okay. Cause she just looks so sad. And I was like, no, Jane, don't cry, you're so pretty. I mean, she is just damn fine. Her eyes, her everything, young stunner. But yeah, I honestly don't have any complaints at all. The writing was good, the pacing was good, the acting was good. The only thing that I guess could have been better were the graphics, because some of the scenes looked sort of fake and like tacky. Kind of like they got halfway through and they were like, shit, we ran out of money, let's just make it happen, just do your best. But like, it was so overshadowed by literally everything else that I did not give a fuck. I'd rate this like a surprised happy monkey, because there isn't a surprised happy gorilla emoji. But I was honestly very surprised with how much I loved this movie. Now, it's not like movie of the year, but it was really good, and I left the theater with that like gut feeling where you're just like, yeah, I feel empowered. Got some butterflies, and I just want to swing around on vines like a motherfucking gorilla and pet Alexander Skarsgård's chiseled, sweaty abs. Anyways, I really like this movie. Let me know if you liked it in the comments and we can talk about it. As always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am Steph Koza, and this is Rated N.